Alright, welcome back. This video, principles of U.S. government. Alright, one of those principles is limited government. The government's power is restricted by law. In the United States, it is restricted specifically by the U.S. Constitution. So the government is not all-powerful. It is limited by what the Constitution says it can or cannot do. Natural rights is the idea that there are certain rights that we obtain naturally. We don't need a government to give us all of our rights. There are rights we receive from governments, but natural rights are fundamental human rights that all people have, regardless of any social standing, country, government, anything else. Government doesn't give us these rights. They are natural. All right, popular sovereignty touched on in the first video. People are the source of governmental power and authority. So, governments must be responsive to the people and what they want because people have delegated and given them their power. And we'll talk more about this when we get to social contract in just a moment. All right, we have republicanism. This is the idea, well, first of all, it's not. It's not talking about the Republican Party, so just make sure that we're good on that. Rather, this is simply saying that the U.S. is a representative form of government. So people vote people into office, so vote for a senator, a representative, a president, a mayor, a governor, whatever office you're thinking of, and then we allow those people to write the bills, make the laws, and enforce those laws. So rather than people voting directly on everything, we vote for representatives, and then they actually make the policies. This is what it means to be in a republic. All right, so we have the idea of the social contract once again. So people create a government. So again, you see in there that it has the idea that people are the source of power, which, by the way, that's a very revolutionary idea at the time, because prior to this, there was the idea of the divine right to rule. So that was saying that kings, monarchs, they didn't get their power from the people. No, they got their power from God. He bestowed upon them the right to rule. And if that's the case, then they don't owe the people anything. There's nothing they have to do for the people. God gave them power, and then they are power, or have power for power's sake, essentially. In this case, though, since people create the government, then that means they set up the purpose of that government. And the purpose is going to be to protect the rights of the people. So this is a hugely important concept. All right, along with that, we have the rule of law. Again, another important idea. This is the idea that all people, that word all people are subject to the law. So this is not supposed to be something that if you are rich enough or powerful enough, or you are the president of the United States or a senator or something like that, that you are then above the law. No, this is saying that every single person is subject to the law. Additionally, it's stating that we have a law of government, not of men. So this is the idea that there shouldn't be any one person who is overly powerful. Some countries that lack rule of law, they end up with the same person in power for decades. And so they become a law of men, not of government, where that person can just arbitrarily state what the law is. But that's not what is supposed to be the case in the United States, because we are supposed to be under rule of law. All right, majority rule with minority rights. Again, this is a tough one to achieve realistically, but this is the goal again. The idea is that we want a majority of people to be able to make the policies. However, we need to have certain ways to prevent the majority from actually destroying the rights of minorities. That's something that can happen very easily with democracy because a majority of people don't like a certain group and they can trample those rights. And so we try to prevent that. Future videos will talk about how the Constitution has attempted to achieve this goal. By the way, when we say minority in this context, we're not talking about just racial minorities, but it can be any group that is less than half of the population. So we're speaking numerically here. And finally, the United States has or is a liberal democracy. Now, this is not talking about liberal meaning the political ideology. Rather, it's talking about that word liberty as in freedom. So liberal democracy is a government based on freedom, protecting the rights of the people, and guaranteeing democracies. The United States strives to be a liberal democracy. This has been a LaMoney production.